Hello? I think there should be sound now. I was wondering what the delay was in responses. And I also want to try and get your chats back up on screen, but I somehow that doesn't work anymore. Don't know why. Add a source. Why? There we are. There was a countdown and everything. You're not wrong. It's a very don't know. It doesn't look right still, but oh man, there you are. You're seeing it anyway in live chat, but I thought it would be good for any things you want to put up there. I think the delay is pretty okay. All right, so welcome for the second iteration of this beautiful new program. We're calling it Obsidian Fleet Let's Write, and that's right, we want to write. So, wow, the delay is about an hour, Chris. It's insane. It's some lag. All right. Now we know kind of what the delay is on me getting back to you. Anyway, popping that off my ear. Right. So what we want to do today is create a character, and creating characters is something that a lot of people find amazing and a lot of people find challenging. So, yeah, it's something that we should have a look at. And what I wanted to do is just want to show that regardless kind of what your genre is that you want to be writing in, that kind of the beats are all pretty much the same. There's of course also Obsidian Fleet itself. If we go to 47, the Traveler's Rest, you have characters here as well. And we could create a character actually in on Obsidian as well. Hello, Cam. Welcome. But again, the basic beats should be relatively the same, and we just want to go over kind of what do we want in our character and actually go through the process of creating a character. That's all right. I don't think there's a voice chat in here anywhere. Type along with the rest of us. I'll be the one doing all the talking. So if you ever get tired of me, you just mute and watch watch the chaos unfold, I guess. All right. What we have, we're gonna skip that one, is three basic bits of information. Information for the character, information about what they look like, information about their personality, and information about their personal history. Regardless of kind of what we want to join. Yeah, Chris, this one is especially completely for you. um, so it's a nice thing to do in the afternoon as well. So there you go. So as you can see, there's a character here with the info about physical traits and personality and history, personal history. It's down here. The sample post we'll get to later. We have the same here: character info, physical appearance, family, personal traits, and history. There's service record here. I think it might be here as well. Service record. It's basically your resume for your character. If we look at the one for Avalon, it's a bit different because we have superpowers. So we start with superpowers and then we work our way down the same list, and there's also some other stuff put in there. Anyway, good question. There's no history here. So what I think you mean, Chris, is personal history and service record, maybe? If not, please correct me if I'm wrong. But the personal history is basically a couple of things that I'll go over how we want to fill that out, or what my preferred method is, how you fill that out. But this is basically a biography, autobiography. The service record is more a resume, usually done in a resume style. If we look here, I'm just going to go to my character because I know how I kind of did that. As you can see, the service record is basically a listing of this is everything that your character did, whereas the history is just a write-out of who is this person, where did they grow up, what happened then, etc., etc. Answer your question? Well, I'm using Atlantis, Avalon, and Solo Force. There's 3 different genres. Yeah, so your personal history would say born under a bridge in 1658. Chris lived a squalid life, and then you go on from there, basically. That's how you build up your personal history. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Before he stole a loaf of bread, or is that someone else? That's not Chris. That's Valjean, I think. Sorry. Back to the character creation thingies. All right. So basically, what I was trying to say is 3 major points. I'm gonna skip over family because, I'm just gonna focus on the 3 major points, being the physical appearance, the personality and traits, and the history. So I've written that out here. And there's a lot of ways that you can get inspiration from all over the place for your characters. But the idea is that you're creating original characters. Cards before Marbs, that is definitely the personality. Yeah, is Essex girl, like a valley girl type thing. You are very distracting. I'm sorry. I know it's part of the appeal to be talking to you guys, but if you're writing, not helpful. Also, baby Emu was a bit out of sorts after a day at daycare, so didn't have as much prep time as I would have liked. So anyway, teaches us his ways. Yeah. Mm-mm. So first and foremost, it's obviously not my way or the highway. There's a lot of different ways to go about this, and it's one of the questions I wanted to ask is where you get your inspiration from for characters. Um, when we're talking about Star Trek characters, it might be very different from your Power Ranger character, from a X-Men character. But I'm wondering, for those in the chat, where do you get your inspiration from? Self-insert happens to the best of us. Yeah, so self-inserting is usually frowned upon. Just to kind of give that a bit more of a response. The problem with those is that usually because you're identifying a lot with that character, you want them to be awesome and you want them to be able to fix everything and to know everything. You're creating a character that's not fun, which is some of the things that we're going to focus on is creating a character that's fun to write for you, but also fun to write with for other people. Because part of these games is that you're writing with other people, and that you're trying to get things, sorted in a way that it's easy to do so for other people. Yeah. Characters for X-Men is usually that sounds like a normal thing to do, right? Is think of the powers first, and there's a lot of ways to think about the powers. We can go and find lists of superpowers, superpower wiki. You can basically, scroll through, throw a dart, and see what you want. Thick hair seems nice. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's one of those things that you can do. Eldritch physiology. Interesting. I don't know that one, so I'm clicking just to see what it is. That is Cthulhu. Um, yeah, gross, but can work. Um, Obviously, there's a couple of Wolverine variants that have different types of claws. There is, yeah, well, there is a Wolverine variant that has long fingernails. Like the name eludes me at the moment. But basically, we can start with you know um, the powers. Um, you can start with saying, okay, I can control plants, so basically a type of poison ivy person. Just the groundskeeper. Um, so chlorokinesis, I think, is what we would call that. We can probably find that here somewhere, but anyway, that works. Bushwhack. We call them bushwhacked. Um, I'm just trying to find how we can best kind of approach this. I think first we need to figure out what we're making a character for, because there's these different ones. I'm gonna close that one. So character name, we're just gonna leave that here for now, as a kind of a placeholder, because I don't want to commit to a name yet. Sometimes, for me, I do start out with a name, then the rest kind of flows from that, or start out with a picture that speaks to me, or in some cases you start out with a song, or a movie series that you've seen that kind of appeals, and you can take inspiration from that. Like, again, not we're not blatantly copying, but inspiration is nice to get from anywhere you can get it. So we can do that anytime. Yeah. If you want to go that route for Cam, at least, one of the things that I always do, let's say, okay, so I'm on Avalon. I'm the game master here, head teacher. I'm on the Atlantis as the doctor. So both of these I already kind of know going in what to expect. Not the case for Power Rangers, so maybe it's a more fun idea to have a look at that for a bit. Um, Basically, what I would do, kind of similar to Cam, is have a look at the characters that are already there, and I would say focus on the playing characters, because for me at least, the NPCs, they do take up kind of an important part of the cast, but they are not as important as the player characters. And what you want to do is you want to be able to create a character that kind of sets itself apart from the main cast. But if there's a bit of overlap with one of the NPCs, that's fine, right? So we do have a couple of NPCs that seemingly, do something similar to other characters in the game. So you have a shape shifting student, a student that can go about with invisibility, all that sort of stuff. While we also have like these playing characters, that is a shapeshifter that turns invisible. That's fine. We can also talk with the other people that are already on the game. For that, you would join the Discord. Usually, the games have Discords now, and you can join that, have a chat. Ask them. Maybe we get that a lot. What kind of position do you want filled, or what kind of characters are you looking for? For me, it's always you need to write something that you like. So I'm not going to tell you what type of character to write, because you need to write it, right? You need to enjoy writing that character. So yeah, let's just say I want to look into joining Power Rangers. I'm gonna immediately say a couple of things. One, the only experience I have with Power Rangers is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when it was on in the 90s. So I don't know any of the extended kind of mythology or lore behind it. I know that these characters are here, and if I look at the Red Ranger character, we can see kind of what is expected in the character descriptions. And we have a personal history, we have the service record, etc., etc. Basic info, all that. So for one thing, this immediately tells me that my character won't be called Damien, Spencer, Stephanie, Ellie, or Kalena, and also I want to have a name that in this list would stand out. You can always look at the current crew and see what's needed. For the Rangers, it's actually maybe easier because you have these colored, this color coded requirements, basically. That helps. You know. For Avalon, if we're looking at the open roles, you can see that there are certain teachers that are still open. We have some staff that is open. Caretakers, medical, chef, etc., etc. which is available basically. And again, you can talk to the people in the game itself. But let's say I don't know what Cyan Ranger would be. Cool. I did not know this was a color the Rangers had. Again, I'm just familiar with the. I'm an adult. I also don't know, like, from what I understand, there's certain personality types kind of connected with the different color rangers. But I mean, Chris is reading through my character's bio. Again, I wanted to prepare this, and then I would have probably written up a ranger character. But as I go through this, I'm wondering if it might be better not to, and focus maybe on one that I can more easily kind of create or get into. So I will try and create an IT tech character here. All right, doesn't matter. So what I want to do is there's an open position for IT tech here. So we need to know what does that entail. This is pretty straightforward. It's a real life position at a school, so easy. We can start anywhere really that we want, but let's just start with thinking of, okay, how do we want this person, what do we want them to look like? So, first of all, when it comes to mutants, they're basically humans, and they come in all shapes and sizes and colors and all that. And what you sometimes also, again, want to do is have a look at the cast, see how diverse it is. There's a lot of, I know that there's a lot of women on this particular game, or at least, women characters. So the balance for that would be, let's create an IT guy. So that's at least one thing that we got ticked off. We're getting somewhere. Joining for the character. The first character information for Avalon is the gender. Not emojis, please. Powers. Power description. All right. So, gender is dude. Powers are what would be good superpowers for an IT guy, other than the obvious, talking to computers thing? Anyone? Exorcism. White arts. Oh, okay. Cool. Manipulate electricity could work. I was thinking cartoon physics would be hilarious. It's like that's a superpower. Can always beat your high score. I mean, we could give him. This is 1993. We could give him nanite manipulation, but there's no nanites, so he can't do anything. I would like that. Something mundane. Something not mundane. It's always a bit difficult, isn't it? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Yeah, I think he's not a mutant until nanites get invented, which is not even now. So, here you go. Could just be an expert volleyball player. Oh man. What is persona manipulation? Okay, wow. Meh. That sounds terrible. He sniffs out hackers. Yeah. Well, to be fair, in the 90s, hackers were still, going, I'm in. So they're easy to sniff out. Man, this is difficult. Clear mind is definitely not what I have, or enhanced intelligence, or accelerated thought process. This is gonna take a long time. Multitasking. That's actually fun. Doritos and Mountain Dew. Yeah. I think we're gonna just do multitasking. Divided attention. That's actually, I like that one. I like that name a lot better. The power is divided attention. There we go. Yeah, there is. There's a wiki for everything, Chris. The powers description for divided attention. Character can focus fully on multiple tasks at the same time, performing them to the best of his abilities. Without detriment from having to split his focus. The process still fatigues him as though he was performing both tasks rather than just, a singular task. Has pushed himself to perform 5 tasks at once. Beyond that, is limited by what his physical body can manipulate. With specialized equipment, as push beyond that, seemingly possible to. Beyond that, it was seemingly impossible to focus. Make the customer listen to what you tell them to do. That is an actual superpower for IT. To be fair, any service-related task really make people follow your instructions. Although you're gonna get into that nasty bit of how do you call it? Free will. So behavior manipulation. I think we're talking about here. Not so good behavior. It's nice. The behavior range of action mannerism made by individuals. Yeah, so you can basically tell them stop, start, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. Only touch only, that sort of thing. Right. This is the first bit basically that we need to keep in mind, especially when it comes to superpowers, but basically in regards to any character, even if they are a very good doctor, for example, is what makes a character interesting is flaws and kind of things to overcome and trying to figure out ways to be better. Character growth is what drives most of these stories because when we're looking at a closed narrative, at a book or a series or a film, you have an arc and that arc closes. And once that arc closes, then your character has gone through growth and then the action stops, right? The goal of the games that we play in, the games that we write in, is to keep the game going. So it's an infinite game. So what you want to do is create a character that can continue to evolve within that game so that it stays interesting to read and write, and it doesn't get overpowered. So one of the things to set aside for yourself when it comes to powers, you need something to balance out the powers. When it comes to X-Men, a lot of the X-Men are super powered. A lot of the Omega labels get thrown around quite a bit. The way you saw Cyclops fight in X-Men '97 was amazing and awesome for the series. It's not amazing and awesome for a game like this because it's just too much in that regard. There's just too much stretching of the imagination basically going on, and too much I can use my powers to fix everything type deal. So one of the limitations to this power of focusing on multiple tasks, you have two hands. If you're not ambidextrous, which this character is definitely going to be, because otherwise, what's the point? But you can do things with two hands, and that's it, right? With specialized equipment, he can perform more tasks than that, but he's limited by his physical, limitations. He can, speak into one and type on two separate keyboards, probably. Use his foot to manipulate a pedal. But that's it, right? He can't, telekinetically also drive something else, and that would make a character like that interesting to write with and to write. And when it comes to powers that are overdone, it's basically any power that allows for someone to just fix everything themselves. Also, most forms of immortality, not fun to write with or to write yourself, because what's the bloody point? When it comes to these types of games as well, we talked about, Cam, giving the example of making someone listen to tell, to do what you want them to do, taking away that agency and taking away that free will. That is definitely something that you don't want to do. For X-Men, we actually have in the mutant powers a couple of powers that we don't want because they will break the game. They will not be fun to write with. This is not an exhaustive list. but these 3 powers are basically 3 powers that are game breaking, not fun. Yeah. Omnipotence, omniscience is basically knowing everything, can do anything. It's not interesting to write, not interesting to write with, not interesting to read. Basically, no one benefits from that. Immortality, invincibility, I should say. Some powers might actually approach immortality or extend the life expectancy, but true immortality and invincibility takes away most tension. There's a couple of different ways you can achieve that, and we kind of crack down on that. Reality warping, thinking of Scarlet Witch could be fun, but you can basically, if you can warp reality, you can do whatever the hell you want, no matter how impossible. And you don't want that. So, yeah. All right, so this is our powers description. I'm just going to go back to our join page. I don't know all the crap I put on there. What we do have is an alias, aka, because we want cool X-Men names. We ask for aliases, but we're going to leave that open for now because we need to think on that. If you have a good suggestion for multitasking, let us know. We asked to list weaknesses because we want to make sure that the powers are balanced out and that actually the person wanting to join our game can think about what the limits are to their powers. I'm not asking for the limits to the powers so that I can use that as a GM to screw you over. That's not why we're here. But in some narratives, it might actually be fun to explore that, to explore a thing where you are being prevented from being the savior of humankind due to your weakness. So let's see if we have Claire. The limitation to her powers is that they only work when she's out of UV light, which, since most action happens during the day, kind of hinders things. She has to look for shadows. She has to kind of do that sort of thing. When we look at Cameron here, the speed is actually fueled by electricity. He needs an initial shock to kind of unlock it. There's also the thing that he burns up the calories that it's required to move at the speeds that he does. So he eats a lot. One of the here for Valjean, he can split himself to multiple separate versions of himself. That's kind of fairly similar to a couple of characters in Marvel. But those characters can actually, if they come back together, will remember everything that happens. But only the Prime Valjean remembers what he did, basically. So there's no, there's instances where you run into a Valjean that will help you and be himself. But when these experiences are not memorable, they will be completely forgotten. So the duplicates do remember everything the Prime experiences, but not the other way. Right? So we were trying to balance out these powers to make sure that they are still interesting to read and write. Anyway, we'll get back to that one. later. The physical appearance. So again, what we were looking for here is something that is distinct, but kind of still acceptable, I guess, as well. And we're looking for a bit of a nerdy dude. We're just gonna use a picture of Chris. I'm kidding. Am I? There's your self-insert, Chris. I'm inserting you into the game. You're the nerdy IT guy. All right. So, I'm sorry, I get distracted. Physical appearance. We split that up in a couple of different things. Use me if you want. That sounds like an improper offer. I'm going to decline at the moment. I actually know. There we are. This is going to be my character. Let's see. Steve Buscemi. As a Disney princess. That's pretty cool. This guy. There's actually a Chris in the Avalon universe. He's a journalist. So I already did that, actually. All right, so we have a. There we go. Beautiful. This is our face claim. This is everything I ever wanted in my IT guy. Night shift janitor vibe, yes, but he's our IT guy. It's close enough. So his eyes are blue. It's good to know. Hair color, eye color. So is it, you know, what would we call this? Kind of a dirt blonde, I guess. Hair is thinning a bit. I'm not gonna bother with kind of these things. Just a physical description. Character. Mousy brown. Right. Dirty blonde. Hair is optimistically clinging on. Yeah. For dear life. So when we approach physical appearance, the one thing I always try to kind of ask myself is, what would someone think of them when they first walk into a room? Right? When character walks into a room, what? Right? That's kind of the physical appearance thing. What do people think of them? Right? Or when a character gets described by a friend, you know, what they look like. Oh, you need to go to Steve. He's in IT. It's this guy with a receding hairline, you know, looks a bit like he could use a tan, you know, that sort of thing. I'm just wondering. I should probably, maybe I could. Is that Steve? They will definitely think that it's that Steve Buscemi, but in this universe, there is no Steve Buscemi. Am I actually pronouncing his name right? Buscemi? Buscemi. Who cares? He's not listening anyway. All right. Just want to kind of figure out how we would describe that. Despite Buscemi, yeah. Trying to take good care of his appearance. Character quickly looks disheveled and shimmy. Yeah, that's what I do, but you know, disheveled. I doubled up my letters on the wrong spot there. The character quickly looks disheveled and out of sorts. Fatigue quickly paints thick, dark lines on his face and around his eyes. His hairline is rapidly receding and hanging on, and the remaining mousy blonde. Drop the shovel. If someone gets disheveled, he doesn't just drop it; it gets taken from him, right? So it's not, you know, it's actively being. Yeah, anyway, the remaining mousy blonde hairs are clinging on for dear life. And are usually combed back lazily, lazily. His stark blue eyes do command attention. So he's usually avoiding eye contact. So physical appearance also includes a bit of, you know, what he's dressed like. You know, what does he wear? Online shopping. Cool. Finally, we can get some work done. Chris is gone. I'm kidding. I love you. Oh. Oh, whoops. All right. So aside from kind of these physical traits, we do want to also include some description about, you know, what they usually wear. Say all the stuff about him. And what he's wearing is metal band shirts. He's chosen his attire of choice consists of well worn and faded jeans and faded jeans and t-shirts depicting and band shirts. Usually metal and hard rock artists that he purchased at festivals or concerts. Awesome. So he's like me. He wears a lot of band shirts. He says while not wearing a band shirt. I don't even know if you can see my shirt, by the way. Oh, you can see it. It's a character sheet. I thought it was appropriate for what we're trying to do here. All right, so cool. One of the things that this also does, it gives us a bit of an idea for personality already. Kind of. What band shirts? Metal and hard rock. Are Spice Girls hard rock artists? Also, do the Spice Girls exist in 1993? Christopher? Tell me that. I think 96, right? Isn't it? No, I need to know. Spice Girls. Oh, 1994. You're a year early. There you go. All right. I need some writing fuel, so I'm eating chocolate. I'm sorry. We have our physical description out of the way. We go to our personality and traits. So there's a general overview. If you know what kind of guy is this. Is a quiet guy. Or more tasks. Engaged in conversation. Yeah. Again, we have to remember this is 1993. We didn't have all the fancy headgear that we have now. All right, so the general overview. There you go. RuneScape, Sony Walkman headphones. Pong, he plays Pong all the time. Um, there we go. That's our general overview. So strengths and weaknesses. There's a couple of ways that you can kind of go about that. If we look at some of the other examples that we have here, I'm going back to the Red Ranger here. You can just list them out. You know, strengths: he's intelligent, he's athletic. Weaknesses: he's reckless, easily, led astray. You could go another direction. You could say, hey, the strengths and weaknesses, we just write them out. General overview. Um, you know, general overview. I wonder. I think I will have just written them out here as well. There you go. But there's also something like this where you have pluses and minuses, or things that are generally plus minus, that sort of thing. Looking at Penny here, there's a bit of a written out format there as well. So you have all that sort of fun stuff. Either way, strengths and weaknesses, we list them out here, right? And we just tell you he's good at this, he's bad at this, and this kind of goes into the same type of thing that we talked about with the powers, but on a personality level. So no one is ever going to be, super charismatic and athletic and everything, in the plus and nothing in the minus. There has to be something that kind of balances that out. For now, I'm just gonna skip this. We still have like 30 minutes to go, and I would like to kind of get into the meat of the character history for a bit there. It's weird. There we go. Because I think it's kind of important part of it as well. And that's basically it's one field for Avalon. History here as well as one field. You see there's a lot of text. But it needs to just give a general overview of who is this or what has this person done. Questions about character history? Go right ahead. As you write out your questions, I will already kind of prepare. One of the things that we need to remember, it is 1993. So this is where we're at. Oh, this is English. Dutch, sorry. So this is English. There we go. We have a lot of events that happen in 1993, which is also awesome. But knowing this, we will need to figure out how old is this character, right? The age is in here somewhere at the top. Is someone 38? Are they 28? Are they 22? Are they, what are they? We're going with Steve Buscemi here. Looks like he might be older. 42 is a nice number. If we're going to go with 42, we're going to need to go to 42 years prior to 1993, right? If we go 42 years prior to 1993, that makes him a boomer. And this will, inform us of, what kind of year was he born in, right? For us, this is pretty relatively easy. If we're talking about, the Atlantis, we know that the Atlantis is set in a certain year, 2156. It's a very good question, Chris. I will kind of get to that in a moment because there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I have a kind of a certain way to approach that, but it's something I can give you a couple of examples. Maybe you find something that you like. So this one is set in 2056. If we're going to Obsidian's, current year is 2399, I think. 2398 maybe. What you want to do is then also figure out, if I want to have a 42-year-old character here, it would be set in the Star Trek years of 21 14. So 2114, Star Trek. So this is what we know about the year 2114 in Star Trek, which is not a lot, right? So not very helpful. Um, but you need to kind of do a bit of research and figure out, okay, what kind of year is someone born in? You know, how does that affect someone? What kind of situation are they in the UK in 1950, in the 1950s? We can look at the decade, you know, the 1950s. What is happening? Recover from World War II. No news is good news. Yes, often. I have a lot of things happening. The Cold War is starting to ramp up. You have the Korean War, you know, happening there. There's some other crises happening. I'm not sure if like easier to write in the real world or easier to write if you have nothing to go off of. I'm not sure which one you mean, Astrid. Just for my own understanding there. There's a couple of coups, always fun. I don't know if it's fun to have coups anyway. Someone really wanted Charles de Gaulle to be head of state, for example. Political events around Europe. Help with the Marshall Plan. Reconstruction succeeded. Some countries adopting free market capitalism, etc., etc. Nothing to go off of. Yeah. It is a bit like it gives you a bit more freedom, right? Yeah. Basically, what his childhood will be kind of built around is the fact that there's a lot of distrust between East and West. That there's a lot of stuff happening on that front. In the 1950s, but 1950s obviously being, his first 10 years of life will not have been as formative as the 1960s. So I'd rather look at that for this. The things that we do in regards to history, what I usually do is there's just a small bit about, start of life, kind of the situation they were born in. So if we look at my character here, we talk a bit about the family she's born in, right? Avira. We do the same for Claire. Drunk was born, recovering from global impact, 2 world wars. Da, da, da. So again, we set the scene for this is the family and situation and era that they are born in, right? That's what you do for basically the first decade of their life. And what I like to do is for depending on how old your character is, but for at least 3 pivotal moments in their life, describe a event that happened. So the start of life, it does not kind of play into that, but in this case, start of their life, childhood, teenage years, adult life. So at the very least, these 3, childhood, teenage years, adult life, we write out a pivotal moment in their life that formed this person into what they are, right? So childhood, he's a bit of a outcast, that sort of thing. So the childhood, he, born. Sorry, that's the start of life. Can we say... Okay, so this is going to show that I'm not actually from the UK. Apart from the accent, obviously. Born. In the east end of London city. Character. We really need a name for this character. Okay, so there's a character that was born in the 50s on the east end of London. Any suggestions for names? He's a Cockney, yes. You're always very helpful, Chris. I'm glad to have you. Gordon Brown. Jeremy. Right, so this is also when we go back to the cast page. Barry. I like Barry. I actually like Craig David, the actor. Bazzer? Barry Bazzer? Barry. Is that short for something? Barry. The name. I don't want the television series. I want Barry the name. That's stupid. Name. Oh, short for. There we go. Bartholomew. Yes. Barton. Barkley. Barkley works. Ah, God. Barathy? Barathy is weird. Very short for something. Bartholomew. Barton. I'm gonna go with Barton. Barton does seem like an uppity name though, so you know maybe his parents had high hopes for him. Barton. Barathy. We're gonna go with Barton the Spartan. Not sure if that's what we're going for either. It's Barry. There we go. We'll think of a proper last name at some point. He's called Barry for now. Um, Barry Mitchell. Mitchell, a very Cockney name. Alright, we're gonna find a last name because otherwise Chris won't stop. Cockney last names. There you go. Classy British. I'm not sure if Cockney is classy, but yeah. Ailing. I like that. It's noble. It's ironic. I love it. There we go. Barton Ailing. Barton Ailing. Perfect. There we go. Born in the east end of London City to James and Edith Ailing. His father and mother are called James and Edith. Because why not? Barry learned to keep to himself quickly. Both his parents were working in a butcher shop owned by his uncle, and because of this, even his direct family looked down on him and his family. So, all right. So we have an established thing. His childhood, you know, Barry's Bartholomew. Yeah, Bartholomew is a bit too, especially with the last name Ailing. It's a bit too fancy. So I'm going with Barton Ailing. It was difficult for Barry to focus on his schoolwork with pestering from local kids as well as his nephews. There were, in one instance, when he was 9, he retaliated against his youngest nephew, Arthur, and was immediately how do you call it if you get sent home from school for a certain period of time? Suspended? Suspended. I also feel like it's getting dark. It's getting dark and hard to see. Expelled? Well, expelled is if you can't come back, right? Yeah, there we go. Suspended. For 2 weeks after hitting him over the head with Atlas. Yes. Is that not what you call it? Like a geography book is an atlas, right? That's what we call it in the Netherlands. How do you call that? Right? Yeah, there you go. Screw you, Chris. That's what it's called. I need to capitalize it. Well, we know that you're a knob. There you go. Which meant that his family was having a more difficult time making ends meet. Right. Due to basically his uncle is Scrooge. Cockney Scrooge. Scrooge McDuck. He's Scottish, right? Northern, at least. Due to limited resource. Okay, so we're moving on, and I'm not, expanding too much on this, but I was using it as a verb. No, not a verb, a noun. He's a Scrooge, not Scrooge himself. I guess. I don't know. He's a Scrooge with no, sorry, he's Cockney with illusions of grandeur. All right. He's a Scrooge and a Cockney combined. A block combined is just the most boring person you'll ever meet. Yeah, a bloke. Yeah, just any random bloke. All right. Sorry. So this is a kind of a short description of again a singular event. Well, yeah, a singular event that has shaped part of his life, right? And the thing that this does, it establishes kind of a pattern, or at least this is the first step in a pattern that we're going to build out. But this is establishes a pattern where Barry learns to keep his head down, right? Um, he gets pestered a lot, and in the one instance that he retaliates, he gets the brunt of it. Basically, immediately suspended. That has a cascading effect. His mother gets screwed over by his uncle, also because he hit his nephew more than anything else. Um, so all of that tells him he's a poor clueless American character. We actually we've had to put a stop to people having American heritages. Um, yeah, because everyone was from America, which, yeah, I mean, didn't help. Um, Difficult for Barry to focus on schoolwork. Due to limited resources in household, Barry grew up a scrawny young man. During his teenage years, he learned in the 70s. He learned to work on small household appliances. As an electrician in a local factory. I don't know if this is how that works, but you know. We have arguably too many American characters on Avalon. Barry will very quickly get fat off of both Craigs. Yeah. Suddenly gets whacked with a bagpipe. I imagine that's how that sounds like. All right. He grew up to be a scrawny young man. His teenage years are in the 70s. We've established this. He learns to work in small house supplies in a local electronics store, providing repairs and services for people buying. The owner of the store was very pleased with his work. However, when one of his loyal customers, the owner themselves, the local laundromat. I'm just throwing all these things in there. I don't even know if these are things in the 70s, but anyway. I think they are. Blame Barry for breaking flooding a shop with a botched repair. Barry lashed out and told them So again, Barry's lashing out. He's in his late teens. One of the things that always happens in the teenage life not always, but mostly happens in teenage life for X-Men is that the powers start to manifest. He took up a job in a countryside factory where his powers first manifested he started to work. He started to notice he could work on multiple tasks at the conveyor. Never let it stop him. That is true. That is very true. Bolstered by this. That is my worst accent, I think. I can try. My mom always used to watch EastEnders. I don't remember much of it. She watched it on Sunday afternoon, where they put all of the episodes back to back to back. Yeah. That's where Denny Dyer's from, right? Can try Georgie. I don't know what is Georgie. Is that like from Geordie Shore, right? I don't know. I cannot even do proper. Yeah, the omnibus. Yes, that one. I can't even do a proper, English accent. Geordie Newcastle. I don't know, man. I can't do Georgie. Georgie. I can't do Georgie. I can't do Geordie either. I can do a piss poor Scottish. Up, Basque, be a kind of lad. Piss. Again, sounded a bit Scottish. Irish. We amen, Pat. Like that. Feel like I should not be pronouncing as many letters as I do. Need to swallow a lot more of them. Canny bloke like in it. I know in it. Nuns on the run. NOTR. Yeah. Anyway. Oh God. I can do. I think I'm better with American accents. But yeah. Gora, master the glottal stuff. The glottal, right? There's my English teacher always had a joke, and we will probably finish the character bio at some point, but I want to share this joke. He always said, with regards to these accents and stuff, he said, there's. He thought it was very funny. I don't know if it's very funny. He said, there was a boy and his father. They were at the breakfast table, and the boy was making a sandwich, and he said to his father, pass me the butter. And the father said, water? The butter? The water? And the boy went, could you pass me the butter? And the father says, oh, that's better. There you go. Glottal stop. Just for you. P-Mew. Offering his thoughts and ideas for improving basically my childhood. There you go. I also have the Martha, get me my boomstick. I have that one in the back pocket. Anyway. I'm from the north as well, but the north of the Netherlands, so we just swallow up the last part of every word. The production line it made for more efficient work, which resulted in the firing of, why not, 2 of his co-workers. They did not take this lightly and waited Barry after his shift was over, beating him up to within an inch of his life in the parking lot. It's a good start. He has a limp because of this. Awesome. After having recovered from the assault, poor thing. Yeah, of course it's millimeters. Yeah, sorry. How would you say that in English? Would it still be like within an inch of his life? I watch too many American shows and read too many American books to have an equivalent. Yeah. On miles per hour for some really weird reason. It's the same reason you're driving on the wrong side of the road. Old people think. Yeah, there you go. After having recovered from the assault, Barry gathered what little belongings he had, and for the most part of the 80s, he traveled the countryside as a salesman. Did you have traveling salesmen in England? Keeps your sword hands free. We're driving on the left. Wait, how does that work? You do. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Less so than the States. Okay. Okay, he's not traveling. Okay, how would he travel the countryside? As a journeyman? Journeyman apprentice. Avon salesperson. He sells snake oil. There you go. Lorry drivers. Yeah, I need him to get into contact with electronics. Um, Grow strawberries and resentment up here. Awesome. Jesus Christ. Awesome. I feel like the signal is reaching America a lot later than it does the UK. Yeah, thank you for the feedback, Cam. I'm sorry. Um, Connect multiple devices to it at the same time. You survived by a hair's breadth. Yeah, that could work. Complex computer networks and helped several large and in this capacity helped several large organizations set up their first by a ball bag's hair. Nice. I like that one. Yeah. Beating him up in the parking lot. He only survived by a ball bag's hair. Yeah, there you go. It was through this work he got into contact with it's a visual. There you go. I would call on him later. There we go. I'm not offended. That was a good sentence. We're keeping it in. All right. So we have a framework or skeleton of a character. You can go back in and you can kind of expand on this and do whatever you want, right? But what we have is a man, Barry, that has had a difficult life and has been kind of conditioned to keep his head down, and is going to get an opportunity in Avalon Institute to come out of his shell. What a wonderful setup for a character arc. Beautiful. There's a tear to your eye. The only thing we need is an alias. will think about that later. So when we normally do these, the last bit that is asked of us is a sample post, and basically, what that is for is, for one, he is definitely a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. He is Donatello. I think it's more the mechanical keyboard that is doing the aggression there. Um, I always sign my emails with cheers, so make of that what you will. The sample post is there especially on Avalon to determine also how your powers would interact with the rest of the world, and with how we're trying to write our stories. But I would like to invite you back for our next Let's Write in 2 weeks, when we will be focusing on writing posts or stories, or entries into the game, right? So we can pick up that part, um, and always take some time to think of a nice creative way to write a sample post. So 2 weeks, we'll be back here. We'll write some things. Maybe I can give some tips, guideline. I don't know, whatever it is I do with regards to those posts, um, and then we will go from there. All right. Hope you all enjoyed that. I hope to see Barton, aka Barry, sometime again in the future, and we will look forward to write with you again. Have a good one.